handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
And now, broadcasting live on GMN from an undisclosed location in the Arizona desert. Italian by birth, American by choice. Songwriter, poet, freedom activist, luca-zanna with Love, Guns, and Freedom.
All systems go.
Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us. We're not your slaves. Don't tread on us. You crossed the line. Soon you will pay.
Here we are. This is luca-zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. And now I'm going to ask to some of elected or people that are running for office in the state of Arizona, what is their position regarding the legalization of prostitution. Of course, this is their opinion. I have my opinion. And I really like to know what they think, because I really believe if we believe in freedom, the first capital, the first element that we own, it is our body. And unless we endanger somebody else or we put in danger and jeopardy somebody else, I believe that we should be able pretty much to do whatever we want, always being responsible and pay the consequences in case there are some. Right now I have with me a special guest. I had him already a couple of weeks ago. He's a great man. In my opinion, he's one of the best men that represent the ideal of freedom, especially if you believe in the Constitution and Bill of Rights. His name is Barry Hess, and he's running for Arizona gubernatorial candidate for the state of Arizona. Barry, are you there?
I'm here, and it's always good to be with you, Luca.
Thank you. So pretty much my concept is very simple. I'll give you a short, simple question. Do you support the concept of legalization of prostitution like pretty much the model of Nevada?
Well, you know, it's funny, because I'm going to have to say yes and no.
Okay.
But here's why. Hear me out.
Tell me.
The reason I say yes and no is because you said like Nevada. Mm-hmm. That's the no.
Okay.
Because what I think it all comes down to is the whole concept of freedom is a simple one. And there's one very basic fundamental principle, mm-hmm. And that is recognition of property rights. That is the whole foundation of all or any kind of freedom, is the recognition of property rights. Now, that said, a step up from that, you realize that the individual owns their own body. Mm-hmm. That you cannot allow others, even if a group of them get together and call themselves government, you cannot allow others to impose their will on your body by telling you what you cannot do. And especially when you talk about things like prostitution laws, it's so bizarre because it doesn't make sense. But the reality is that in a free market, then, you also get to choose what you do with your resources, one of which is your body. So that while I would never encourage it by any stretch of the imagination, I think there's something fundamentally wrong with it. And I've never understood it. But by the same token, there is no authority that can tell you what you cannot do with your body. Because if you do allow that, if you allow government to do that, there is always that unintended consequence, because by the same token, you will necessarily and logically also give them the reason to tell you what you must do with your body. Like forced vaccinations, mm-hmm. for instance.
Or what you can eat.
You know, that being said, when you say like Nevada, mm-hmm. Nevada's done, I think, the best possible job amongst the circumstances if you were to stay in the system, in the paradigm that we have now. Mm-hmm. But if we want to change the paradigm and simplify it and make sure that we don't have these problems at any point in the future, then we have to do a different system from Nevada. So that was the no part,
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah, no, I understand with you, by the way, I agree, because I said Nevada because it's something tangible that we can see right now. It's already pretty much working. And, it's not perfect. I believe that there is still too much government even in that, because at the end of the day, there are many things I would like to think about it. First of all, the labor, not as a corporation, but as a person, I don't think I should give part of my labor as taxation to the government. And also another thing, regulations. I understand that there are some regulation for the public safety, but I also believe that it's our responsibility as a buyer, as consumer, to be responsible. And I don't think that many times, even in many establishments, these permits, the word permit itself means that it is not my right, and I need to go to ask and beg for a permit from my master. And in this case, even my body must be regulated, because pretty much I'm not exactly an expert, but I'm learning all these things from this special guest that we have. Her name is airforce-amy. She's going to give me kind of a crash course about prostitution, legal prostitution in Nevada. So I know that there are a lot of regulations, a lot of permits, and different type of inspection.
Yeah, there are. But when you cut to the quick of it, ultimately, it has to be said that even though it is not a perfect solution by any stretch of the imagination, it is the best solution that they've conceived of, and I think that's because it was driven by a freed up market where they set their own standards, and they set them pretty high. I understand that the gals are tested, and I guess they have guys too, which is really freaky. But okay, the thing is that they are tested for disease. They're very carefully watched. They're mindful, because they know if they should catch anything, then they're off of employment.
Exactly. That's true.
And so they don't want to hurt the goods, as it were. And so what you find out is that there's a lot less of violent crime that you see, especially sex crimes as a whole. It's less in Nevada. I was kind of surprised. Than many other places.
It is true, because, you destroy the black market, like we were talking about legalization of drugs in general. I mean, why, let's say, a cup of wine or a cup of whiskey during the Prohibition used to be so expensive and made families rich, because it was forbidden. When something become a regular free market, or at least in the regular, outlets, everything becomes pretty much affordable, even drugs, even the prostitution.
We saw it in Colorado. Now, unfortunately, because of the dumbass thinking of some of these politicians who think they understand something they clearly don't, they came in and said, we're going to legalize it, but we're going to penalize you for our legalizing it by charging you far, far more in taxation, which will raise the price up, and that'll discourage you from using it.
Exactly.
I mean, it was a schizophrenic idea, and what happened was they found that the black market did not go away, and that's because they can get it so much cheaper, for a quarter the cost, because of the taxes. They can buy it on the black market. And it's the same exact stuff. So what kind of consumer would you be if you just said, well, no, I'm going to go ahead and pay 4 times as much,
exactly,
just so I can get my name on a government list? That does not make any sense.
Exactly. Now, so let's dream for a moment. You become the new governor of Arizona, the state of Arizona. And of course, as a governor, you don't have legislative powers, but you can encourage, or at least you can set some directions, and
Absolutely.
At least you can make some requests. You would be able, or at least you will be willing to create the same type of model, at least for now, something similar to the state of Nevada when it comes down to prostitution. Would you?
Well, I guess if it came to that, and there was a large enough, group of people to make it something of attention, I'd have to. But I would probably do it on my own at some point, but it wouldn't be, a major priority, just because it necessarily is going to stir up a hornet's nest with people who haven't thought it through, and I think that it might weaken the chances of a bigger picture that I'm trying to paint.
Now I'm going to give you the devil's advocate answer that pretty much I'm getting from many people I know, we don't need to share the same ideas, but, they try to tell me why it's wrong. First of all, you go to hell. But I always say we don't need to legislate on morality and religion. Otherwise, we become another Iran under the Ayatollah or something.
We've become the American Taliban.
Exactly. So that would be the first thing. But another thing is also about, and I think it's very almost redundant and let's say, explanatory, but, it's very dangerous for society because you pretty much hate prostitution and people are going to get sick and diseases and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. It's a very simple answer.
And really, if you just slice all the crap and nonsense away,
mm-hmm.
the bottom line is it's going to go on anyway. No matter what they do. I mean, how schizophrenic can it possibly be to have a law that says you can give something away,
mm-hmm.
and that's okay,
yeah,
but you cannot sell it? You're going, what? Yeah, I own everything incorporated in the transaction is what the person would be able to say,
mm-hmm.
and yet somehow they owe a third party some kind of control over that. And at some point, they'd be saying they want to be able to tax it, like they do in Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
No, they do tax it as labor for the company.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's taxed that even
but
of
not
course
on the individual's labor.
Well, there is something I need to investigate deeper. That's why I'm going to have this interesting meeting with this superstar. She's very much of a pro in the business. I think she's one of the most top earning legal prostitute in the state of Nevada. airforce-amy, so she will tell me everything about it. But meanwhile, yeah, I'm trying to learn because I think it's a very important topic, and I really believe could be good for everything. First of all, I really believe that even I don't approve, I've never been with a prostitute personally, and if I had a daughter, I said, please, you have other options, I hope. But it's still their choice, as you said, it's their body. At the same time, I think it could really curb the problem of criminality and especially of exploitation of
absolutely. And history proves that is when people can do something, they don't do it specifically because it is shunned, by the community. It's not an accepted practice. And so people, they treat you different, and that's their right. We all have the right to discriminate at any point against anyone for any reason.
But also, if I can say something, think about it. There is this black market, women or men, because they're also, of course, prostitute men. They're pretty much living in fear. They are normally the manager. It's called the pimp, I guess, in English. And what happened, you have a very terrible situation for everybody. And very unsafe even for the customer. And at that point, you create really another layer of criminality, another layer of also enforcement and jail.
The taxing issue, of
exactly.
course, is what they always hook you on.
Yes.
No pun intended.
Mm-hmm. So I think, there is a lot of, it's something that really should be seen with a very logic point of view. And I believe really that the benefits, they are all on the table. And at that point, people, they're always going to go with some risk because you can go to a bar every average night in the average bar. And if you're not a responsible person, you can get the worst diseases you can imagine for free. You don't even need to pay. Okay.
No doubt.
So that's why I'm saying,
sure
you go to these places, and I think at least you're a safe environment, your control environment. I read and I was talking with Amy that pretty much they have every week some checkups and every month they have a blood test. I mean, there is a lot of very serious, strictly rules that they need to obey. So far, never in all the history of these brothels, especially in this one, it's called the Bunny's Ranch, never was registered any case of HIV or any type of diseases. So it seems like, according to their records, one of the safest places.
Exactly. That's what I was saying, was that it actually would raise the standards so that you'd have competition,
mm-hmm.
and the way that the competition would work would be in the cleanliness and the calmness of the environment that you're around and how clean it is and how nice it is. So they would be competing with each other to bring the best quality at the lowest price to the consumer because they want their business.
Barry, let's remind, not because we need to remind, but they can already guess, but let's remind to the listeners, first of all, for which party you're running for.
I am a libertarian.
Libertarian candidate for the Arizona seat as a governor. How's it going, your campaign? Any exciting news, something we can share?
Well, you know, Luca, as I've said before, there is something so incredibly unique about this particular cycle, and I've been here before. Is that it's not like anything I've seen before, because there doesn't seem to be rhyme nor reason to it, and those that we once thought were unshakable are shaking. They are very nervous. And there's a lot of propaganda that is just outright lies out there. Meanwhile, there is a total lack of enthusiasm by either of the Republicans or Democrats for their candidates. I mean, there's no yay, there's no parades or hallelujah things going on. They're just saying, yeah, all right. And you know,
just another day among this funny game. You know, I mean, it's pretty much nothing changed really. But let me give you some exciting news. I was browsing Facebook and I have few friends, you know, many friends in the Republican Party, and I heard 3 of them, they're all going to vote for you. That's pretty exciting.
But you know, I'm flattered by that, but it's the message. I hope it's not me.
It's the message, no, of course.
Target on my back.
Yes, no, it's the message. I always believe that people understand, you know, the person of you. You carry a message. It is not about you, and that's the way it should be, even with any candidate. You know, of course, everybody's different, and we have different personalities, and also it's important to know your background. But at the end of the day, it's also your philosophy and your the way, the ideals that you represent. That is the most important thing. So we'll see. We'll pray. I'm not going to encourage anybody because I want to be neutral since, you know, I do this show. But at the same time, I want to tell you, people, just look out, do your own research before you vote. Don't vote for just a donkey or for a little elephant just because you have it in your cart or in your pocket. Vote for your ideals. Really understand if you believe in freedom, if you believe in self-responsibility, in real small government, and the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and the Arizona Constitution, something we should really consider. Do your research. Do not follow the party. Be a leader. Don't be a follower. Thank you very much, Barry. I appreciate your help. And please say again one more time the website before we leave, and I'll let you go.
Okay. It's hessforgovernor.com or Barry Hess for Governor 2014 on Facebook. That's where you'll find some of the more updated stuff, because it's just too hard for me to keep up with everything.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Barry Hess. Thank you.
All right.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman,
I'm not afraid.
and a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth,
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Luca-Zanna
I'm not afraid.
and his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Luca-Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Okay, guys, back to the show. We are here. We're talking today about legalization of prostitution. More important, I would like to say the main question is always for me, who owns our body? Especially when we meet the condition that we do not infringe and not endanger other people's rights. That's the bottom line. But regardless, now we're talking specifically with Supervisor Stephen Moss from Mojave County. Supervisor, how are you there?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I know this is business hours for you, so I really want to say thank you again for your time, and also to, touch such topic that many people, many elected officials, they don't want to touch at all. At least I really respect you for your straightforwardness. You say exactly what you think, and we must respect that. I think honesty is the first thing I would like to respect in anybody, especially in a politician. So let's start with a question.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
I will say that when I got elected at one point, you asked me whether or not, if you asked me a question, would I give you an answer? And I think my response was along the lines of, I try very hard not to be a coward or a liar. So yes, I would always give you a straight answer, even if you don't like the answer. And I hope I'm doing that now, and I hope I do it in the future.
Good. That's very important. And for me, I respect much more somebody that I do not agree, but at least he's honest. He's not trying to play, or she's trying to play games. And all we ask is honesty after all. And then at the end of the day, the most important thing, we the people, we have enough information to make our own judgment and vote for the people we want. As simple as that. So back to the question. As a supervisor, even of course there would be something more in legislative powers of the state legislation, would you support the legalization of prostitution like the Nevada model in the state of Arizona? And if no, why?
I would not support legalizing prostitution in the state of Arizona. I do understand the theory that a person owns their own body and should do what they like with it. But I have really two philosophical conflicts with extending that to legalizing prostitution. The first, I freely admit, may be my upbringing, maybe the way I was raised, my religious convictions. And so perhaps it's not a rational response. It's one that's more based on emotion, guts, a religious conviction. The second tier to that is more of a philosophical opposition, is that just because we live in a free society does not mean that our freedoms are limitless. As long as we're not violating constitutional rights, I believe the states have the power, the police power, not the federal government, but the states, to legislate to promote the public health, safety, and welfare. I think that prostitution is one of those areas which is a line too far, and that because of that, the state does properly legislate against prostitution. I'm not trying to cast aspersions at the people who work in the sex trade. I think they're human beings. They're entitled to dignity and respect like any other human beings. I love them because there's God's children just like I am, and as you are. So I'm trying not to be a holier-than-thou pontificator. I just think that we have to recognize limits on the freedoms that we as adults enjoy, and that's one of the limits that I almost instinctively come down on as saying that's one line too far, and so I would not legalize it.
Okay, I really appreciate, first of all, your honest and response, and as I said, this show is not about agreeing, it's about exchanging ideas and maybe using some, helping each other in putting some different inputs, and hopefully we can also help each other to look at the other side. That's pretty much the idea. Now, my short, it's not even a rebuttal, it's just my own personal opinion that probably my listeners already know. First of all, yes, I'm a Christian myself, even I don't go to churches, but I believe in Christ, and I believe also it's not my role, not my right to judge others. I'm not really an expert in scriptures, but I try to read them. And I remember that, first of all, Jesus said, never, if you have no sin, whoever is without sin, throw a rock at me, or stone at me. So pretty much we're all sinners in some way. So I'm not going to try to judge somebody else like a prostitute or a man or woman doing that type of choice. That's their business. I wish they didn't do that. If I had a daughter, I would say, maybe let's talk about it. But at the end of the day, I'm not here to judge others. And also another thing, I think it's not a role of the government to legislate on morality. That's something that we need to think about. Otherwise, we will become another Taliban or another, let's say, country like where theocracy, like the Pope, like the Vatican, is a theocracy after all. So that's number one, but that's okay. I respect that too. You grew up in that environment. Even I grew up as a Christian myself. I just have maybe a little different more angle the way I look at that. Regarding the aspect of safety and limited rights, I believe that at the end of the day, with freedom comes responsibility. And if the condition is met, that there is no coercion and there is no infringement on other people's rights, in this case also visual, because I would never like to have on the street prostitute, pretty much destroying my view and also the decor of my neighborhood. That would be terrible. But in the privacy of an office or of a structure dedicated to that, whatever happens between those walls, there is no infringement on my rights, especially if I know that there is also some sort of safety for the workers and for the customers with some basic regulations on healthcare that pretty much pretty much, I was talking today, for example, with, I don't know if you saw the photo of this professional woman. Her name is airforce-amy. Did you have a chance to look at her?
I saw your posting. I
Yes.
did not read the article.
Yeah,
I saw your posting.
She's one of
You
the,
asked me a question and I
yeah,
responded.
she's one of the top professional prostitutes in Nevada. I mean, she's like a rock star in the field. And we were talking a little bit, and I was learning, I was trying to understand. For example, in the Bunny's Ranch brothel in Reno, Nevada, never has been a case of any type of sexual disease, okay? This has been since the beginning of the ranch, because there is such a strict control. I can go tonight, right now, in a bar in Bullhead or Kingman, wherever in Arizona, and just have a loose sex for free and probably get myself in danger and maybe even more risk for everybody. So all I'm saying, this is not like a debate. I appreciate your point, and I'm not trying to change. I just was trying to say my other side, that really is not even my side, because I never went with a prostitute, and I don't intend to go there. I don't think a man should pay to go to have love, because that's none of my business. Maybe some people like to give away their money. I don't know. Okay? But at least, go ahead, please. I want to let you go with a final phrase from you.
No, your comments are well made. I mean, I also try not to judge this, and that's why I feel hesitant when I speak on the issue, because it is not my role to judge these sort of things as a Christian. It's my role, and your role is to accept and love other human beings with all their frailties, and because we're all sinners, every single one of us. My concern is, I mean, I think you touched on one of them, which is the transmission of sexual disease. That's a public health, safety, and welfare issue. Mm-hmm. And it may be that the houses of prostitution, which legalize, control that better than does the general public. If so, that would be an argument in its favor. But there's a host of other sins, sins is a bad word, say I'm lapsing, problems which are associated with that. For example, the sex trafficking trades, moving girls from one country to another. And I can't give you an exact figure, but I do remember watching a news article on TV a few years ago where they said prostitution in Germany is legal, but up to 75% of the sex workers come from South America.
Okay.
And they're moving. I'm sorry, go ahead. I don't know. Sorry, that's another problem.
Go ahead, sorry.
That I'm vaguely familiar with. And so there's a host of associated problems which would have to be looked at very seriously. But even then, on my personal view, I could never see myself voting for that. And that's probably it could be from a libertarian perspective, a personal failing on my part. But there's just something in me that says this is not a good idea.
Okay,
so
I understand. That's fine. All I'm saying, also trying to have, this sort of a back and forth point of views. I come from Italy, for example, where prostitution, it's illegal. And I'm telling you, it's probably talking about, human trafficking, everything, every time something is legal, we're exactly there where violence and organized crime like the mafia and all these gangs pretty much flourish. And also where there is human trafficking. For example, I was trying to learn a little bit from Mrs. Airforce-amy. How there is not human trafficking in these places because they are legal. The woman does not need a pimp or a manager because she is legal. She doesn't need to be afraid. She can call straight the sheriff. If there is a problem, they don't even have private security. They call directly the sheriff office. So when something becomes legal, there is no more in the shadow of this undermarket. All this illegal criminality would go away, in my opinion. And so more important, this human trafficking happens because they are fearful for their life and also fearful of the law. If you are a prostitute and you don't know where to go to ask for help, there is no cop who's going to help you. They're going to arrest you probably. So this is pretty much my little interaction. But as I said, I really respect you, and I'm glad you're our supervisor. Even sometimes we don't agree. We agree on many other things. I just say thank you very much for your time, and I'll be happy to talk to you soon again. Okay, Supervisor?
No, that's great, and thank you. And I understand the point you're making, and I'm glad that you sent the text out there because it's making me think about things. And something else occurred to me as we were speaking is, and this is more of it's a romantic view, Luca. It's very much a romanticism, and I admit that. But do we really want to live in a society where the intimate act of sex is a commercial transaction? Or do we want to try to craft a society where the intimate act of sex, sex itself, the intimacy of that, is reserved for people in a close, warm, affectionate, loving, long-term relationship? And what kind of society do we want to live in? And do we want to take the right-hand fork or the left-hand fork on that particular road? But I understand all your points, and I'm really glad you asked me. And I hope you throw some more hard questions that make me think, because if we don't exercise our brains, what did God give them for? That's what God gave them for us for.
Perfect. Let me hit you back with your point, because I think it's very good what we're doing. You give me your point, I give you my point, and there is a logic even in that. And I answered, no, I don't want to live in a society where sex became a trade or is some sort of a cold, dirty thing. I believe in love, okay? But this is me, right, as luca-zanna, and you as Stephen Moss. We cannot judge, or we cannot force our belief to others. Maybe also there is also another social aspect of prostitution, and I'm not saying that's great, but it is true. There are many people out there that unfortunately they don't have the opportunity to have a regular sexual life. Maybe they're ugly, maybe they're shy, maybe they have just some problems. And to have a person that can take care of them in a professional way, safe way, and even I don't say it's the right way, but at the end of the day, I'm not doing that, you're not doing that. We can still believe and lead our life the way we believe, in love, in family, whatever we want to do. But everybody else, the only judge at the end of our life is going to be no Supervisor Moss, no legislator from Phoenix or from Washington. It's going to be a superior being that we believe, if you believe, and I know you do, that at the end, only him can judge us, not government.
And you're right.
That's the point. Right. So that's what I'm saying. Yes, I believe in the same thing we believe. I believe in what you're saying. I don't smoke pot. I never went with a prostitute in my life, and I don't think I'll ever go. Because on top, really, I don't believe in paying for something supposed to be an interaction between a man and a woman with love. But at the same time, I'm not everybody else, and they have the right to do pretty much what they think is right for them. Thank you again, Supervisor Moss. I really appreciate you, and I'll let you go now, okay? Thank you.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So Patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
Okay, guys, here we go. We had the first part of the show, two politicians. One is an elected county supervisor, Stephen Moss. Just finished to talk to him. And then we have another great guy. I mean, for me, is my ideal. I don't really have any heroes in the political world because I believe that we should not have heroes, period, when it comes to humans. We're all imperfect, excuse me. But I really like Barry Hess. I think it's, if I had to have the ideal governor or an ideal politician, Barry represents the spirit of, in my opinion, of the Constitution and Bill of Rights, freedom. But regardless, there are different positions. I think it's important that we have at least the opportunity to start to think exactly the main question. If you really believe in freedom, you should believe that you are the owner of your body. That's for me the most important thing. And we should have no government or the mob, the majority of people through the government, the coercion of the government, tell us what to do. But now, the most important part of this show really today, the special guest, is going to be a woman that I had a chance to meet during this interview and studying about her, because I'm really serious. When I come down to do my interviews, I try to pretty much check the background, try to see also the human side, to see who is this person. Her name is Airforce-amy. She's a lady, she's not just a lady, she is the lady, in my opinion. The number one, or at least one of the most famous legal prostitutes in the world. From Carson City, the Bunny Ranch, the famous Bunny Ranch. I heard about that, everywhere. And top of it, he's also on HBO, he's been on Howard Stern, different shows. But I never really had a chance to investigate about this Bunny's Ranch. But I realized that there is so much more that we don't know. So I had the chance, I wanted to talk about from a person, a real person that is doing this job, is performing as a legal prostitute. So I wanted to hear not just politicians, they have different opinions. I wanted to hear from a person that, as a choice, she's been doing this, exercising the legal prostitution as activity, as a way of life, as a profession, for many years, and she's doing also great. So this is going to be pretty much soon coming the next part of this show. And today we match a little bit the hours. Normally, first hour I do just about rights, second hour is about guns. But today is so important topic because even people say, well, we have so many problems. We have ISIS, we have, Ebola, and we've been talking about Ebola. We've been talking about the government false flag with ISIS. Now, for me, the bottom, we lost our government from things like that. Maybe for many people it seems like minor, so prostitution. I don't really care. Guess what? It is not about the prostitution. Like it is not about the legalization of marijuana. It is about freedom. And it starts from a very basic concept. You may not have maybe land or real estate or own property. It does not matter. Any one of us, every one of us, wants one thing. That nobody should be in control. Nobody should be in possession. It is your body. Even the poorest person of the world has some dignity and has one thing that nobody else should be above him and control him. It is his or her body. That's why I believe the problem that we have right now in America, with everything, the regulations and the food that they want you to eat, and what you want to buy, and the healthcare that they want to impose on you, and everything else, the seatbelts and the helmets, and what you can do, what you cannot do in the privacy of your home. It's all connected to the one point. We lost this battle a long time ago when other people, they were trying to fight for their rights. That's why I believe today's show probably is one of the most important, because we're trying to pretty much share this concept. Remember, I'm not here to be right. I'm here to make you think a little bit. The end of the day is when you think that just because you don't like it, just because you think it's immoral, or whatever other reason you have, you want to impose your will on other people, and when there is no any type of, let's say, infringement on your rights. If in the privacy of my home right now, I want to smash my head on the wall 20 times, and drink a gallon of Clorox or chlorine or whatever, Ajax, it is my business. I bought with my own money this whatever garbage I'm drinking, and I can smash the wall as many times as I want because this is my wall. This is just an example, of course. That's what the same situation should apply to if I want to use drugs or if I want to go with the prostitution. And when I say prostitution, I don't even call it prostitution. It's a trade. It is an exchange. It's a private contract. You go to Home Depot, you're looking for a worker, somebody help you out with your garden, whatever, you pay them. That's also prostitution. You pay for their labor. You pay for their muscles. Normally, a man has muscles. But a woman maybe doesn't have no big muscles. Maybe she has other muscles she can use. And that's a right. You may not like it, but that's a right. So today I said, for me, was something very important. Before we go to the incredible guest, because I'm very honored, I'm here as an humble professional learner. This isn't exactly was my first trade to be on the radio, but I enjoy the opportunity, more important, that I have to try to share this message of freedom and love and guns, of course. I would like just to discuss a little bit, a couple of news when it comes down to the Second Amendment. First of all, what happened in Canada. Okay, Canada, this crazy person, that not really crazy, it was some sort of a terroristic attempt that interrupted in the middle of the parliament building, and panic everywhere. Nobody has a gun. I mean, not the good people, and the politicians hiding. Some of them, they're also making, in a very courageous attempt to defend themselves, like spears out of flagpoles. Think about it. And that there was a soldier that was there as a symbolic protection in front of the parliament. He got killed. And of course, all hell gets loose. Now, Canada has a very strict gun control laws. What I find very unbelievable stupid that any person could pretty much walk in. There is no any type of security. Not even this soldier has guns, really. Everybody's unarmed. But of course, even with all these very strict gun laws or anti-gun laws, guess what? There was one gun that was lost, or at least one gun too much. And this person that went there, he was able to do all the bad, evil things that he wanted to do. So think about it. That's really working? You think gun control is working in Canada? No. That's the problem. That's the problem for everything else. So all I'm saying, we need to start to think that everywhere government restrain and control guns, it restrain also not only freedom, but also the logic and the very common sense logic of self-defense. And I hope, they will learn from that. Same thing, I believe really that it's very sad that, all the different gun laws that they have to go through Canada, but we need to really start to think that we're going to be unfortunately next with Canada if we don't do something to pretty much stop. Now there is a new act of not a shooting at the school in Washington. I mean, we will see pretty soon what's going to happen, unfortunately, in the next few days if the hysteria of these anti-gun freaks they will try to do. So now we have pretty much coming down with Amy, airforce-amy, okay? Now, I would like to also talk about another thing. The show, as I said, is supported by you, by your help to spread it around, and also to support, because normally what I like to do, I like to keep it very honest, and I love sponsors, don't get me wrong, but I never want to be controlled in what I say and my choices and my messages from sponsors. That's why it's so important that any one of you listeners, and I see that you're coming from all over the world, I'm pretty excited. The best thing you can do to support this show, go to my website, www.zanna.us, and you can download any of my songs. I have more than 100 songs that I produced and published since I came to America. For just 99 cents, you can download any of my songs, and purchasing a song, you pretty much guarantee that I can always be completely 100% free in my speech, in the message I want to, because I do not need to rely on sponsors. And I tell you something, if one day I am so desperate that I have to go to pretty much depend only on sponsors, and I could not do or say what I want, I wouldn't be here. I'll tell you, I wouldn't be here just to tell you of truth. I need to be here. I can be here only if I can tell you everything I really believe. So that's why it's so important. I want to ask you for that. Please, if you can help out. Now, also another thing, you can help out the sponsor. I mean, I really tell you, whatever I bring here to the radio, I try it and I test it. And also I have friends and people that I really know very well as testimonials. As I said, 3 months ago, I was able to, through a friend, to try this product. It's the only anti-aging activator that pretty much gives you the opportunity to reduce and slow down your antioxidant stress by 45%. Is clinically proven in just 2 weeks. But all I can say, seriously, just trust me, please. And I know people say, I hate the word trust me. I understand. But this way, you have to trust me. Because you should at least just trust me to go to the website. It's my website, www.protandemdistributor.us. Or even go to another one that is also related to me anyway, antiaging.fm. F as Frank, M as M, like the Mary. Antiaging.fm. Go to the research page and go also to the testimonials page. This is all I can tell you. The New World Order, the globalists, the elite, want humanity. They want humanity sick and broke. They want us sick so we cannot fight back. And they want us broke, so we must depend on the government. I really believe that pro tandem, the only anti-aging activator, that you will see results in just matters of days. You can start to feel it inside. I have people with different type of problems, from fibromyalgia to fatigue to arthritis. In few weeks, their life changed. I have them on video. I couldn't believe it. So this is not a medication, thankfully. It is not under the FDA, so supposed not to cure or heal anything. But let me tell you, try it out. It's worth the try. In the same way, trying it out, you have the opportunity to support this show. And there is a good news. When you will find out that this works for you and on your friends and family, you may want to say, okay, I would like to share it with my friends and family. You can do that, and not only you can do that, you can also make an incredible living out of that. I'm telling you, it's something that is rewarding because it is not just about selling. You don't sell anything. You share an opportunity, priceless, for the price of a coffee a day, because that's what pro tandem costs. So pretty much that's all I wanted to say. So be ready, because now we're going to have the incredible, the only one, the unique, the most hardworking legal prostitute from the Bunny's Ranch, Airforce-amy, on Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna. Stay tuned, don't go away. Ciao.
They're sucking our blood. They're stealing our lives away if we are too busy. We're too afraid. We're already lost our soul. We're already their slaves. Now is the time to stand for our rights. Now is the time to pray and fight. Fight! Revolution, rebirth of a nation. Now it's our time to show who we really are. Revolution, a peaceful solution. But we're not afraid to stand for what is right. The day will come when we'll all be gone. What are we waiting for? Let's live with honor. Let's go. They've pushed our limits. Where's our pride? Are we all ready?
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on Guerrilla Media Network. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on Guerrilla Media Network. Hi everybody, this is luca-zanna and you're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network. Today we have a very, very important show. As you very well know, the purpose of the show, it is not to entertain, but the purpose of the show is to make us think, first of all, about our rights. Who owns our body? Us or the government? We've been talking about that for several issues. For example, the legalization of a plant that, I don't even smoke. It's called marijuana. But for me, it's very important, the principle, to think that if there is no harm, if there is, first of all, some sort of a will between, let's say, a private agreement between two adults people. I'm talking about the condition everybody is in the legal age to think, to be pretty much responsible for themselves. And there is, of course, a condition that you do not infringe on other people's rights. I think that, let's go straight to the point, legal prostitution should be legal. I mean, prostitution should be a crime, should not be a crime. Because at the end of the day, if the collective, the group of citizens can pretty much get together and decide that they have the power, the number, to, as a mob, to through the government, to the coercion of the government, to make criminal one private act, because this is going to be in a private world. So today's goal is to start to think about it, why, in my opinion, prostitution should be legalized, and I'm not advocating it. I never said that I want to go to somehow to spread this. This is a personal choice, and it's not us as the humans or as citizens to judge other people's personal choices, with the only condition, of course, they do not infringe on other people's rights. Today I have a very incredible guest. It's very an honor because she's not just a regular lady. She's a rock star in this world. And more important, I've been pretty much learning about her the last few days. She's one of the top professionals in the legal prostitution world. Her name is airforce-amy. Amy, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi, Luca. How are you today?
Pretty good, pretty good. I really want to thank you very much. I know you've been everywhere. You can tell me maybe a little bit about you now. I know you've been on different shows, national shows, Howard Stern, and MTV, HBO. I mean, you're really a pro in this business. You're a personality, and it's really humbling for me. We are here at 1340 a.m. and, of course, all over the world on GMN Network. But the point is, thank you very much for your time. I know you're a very busy lady.
Well, thank you. I'm very impressed by you. Just the name of your show, Guns, Love, and Freedom, and you're standing up for the people, and I am for the underdog.
Perfect.
And I am the underdog.
Okay,
and I fight for our rights.
Very good. Listen, you're better at that because I'm here, I have in front of me an incredible resume and biography. In few words, tell us a little bit about your past, especially when you left the Air Force, because you're a U.S. veteran. People must know that. Go ahead, please, Amy.
Yes. I grew up in Ohio. I was a teenage runaway. I hitchhiked around the country for a couple years and then decided I would get my GED, join the military, and I just went upwards and outwards. I was very successful in the military. I was an anti-terrorism specialist and an air-based ground defense instructor. I took 44 men out in the field for 2 weeks at a time. I taught them how to protect the runway.
Wow.
And then I created a job, anti-terrorism. It was like crime prevention, but terrorism prevention, where we instructed the base, all the base personnel, on how to keep themselves from becoming a terrorist target. This was right before the Marcos Revolution. We had the New People's Army and the NRA and some terrorist organizations themselves operating in our area. So I did that.
Yes.
And then I got I got transferred stateside. They gave me an extra year. It was called the convenience of the government. Instead of just dropping me off at San Francisco, I could serve another year stateside, which I did at Nellis Air Force Base. And it was really quite boring because I was used to so much action overseas. And there was the Grand Redmond Strength and Reduction Act. I could get out 6 months early. I opted for that. And then I was presented with, well, what could I do now? And, well, I could carry a gun for a living. I could work for the Diplomatic Security Service. I could go work at a prison as a prison guard or become a sheriff, a cop in Las Vegas. And I didn't want to do any of those things. And I had heard about some of these brothels, and it was kind of an ultimatum I had given my superiors. I said, well, give me a reenlistment bonus or cross-train me, or I'm just going to go work at the brothels. And they go, oh, no, you can't do that. Don't do that. Well, then give me a reenlistment bonus, cross-train me, and I can send my contract. And I said, he won't do it. And so I acted on my own ultimatum. About 3 months before being discharged, I went out to the Chicky Ranch and had an interview. And it was quite funny. The gentleman asked me to take my clothes off. He wanted to see if the owner wanted to see if I had any scars or tattoos. And I said, I can guarantee you I don't have any scars. I have one scar on my right knee and a birthmark on the left forehead. You can see it on my DD 214 separation papers. I'm not going to get naked for you.
Oh, my gosh. That's amazing. So that was...
The first couple of years were kind of bumpy. I was pretty... they were a little bumpy. And then throughout the years, I learned to... I just came to love this profession. There's so many different personalities I get to meet, and everything. Every encounter turns out to be happy, fun, and just a person that I'd love to stay in touch with. And it's exciting, and it's a sales job. It's the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And marketing, I love marketing, and I've been lucky to be associated with Dennis Hoff from the Bunny Ranch for the last 15 years, and he's the world's greatest marketer, the world's greatest promoter.
Yes.
And we've worked side by side for so many years.
If I can say something, Amy,
yeah.
I was looking at your website, by the way, that we can give it, the people can go there and check it out. Of course, you need to be over 18. It's airforce-amy.com. So you can also see this beautiful lady, that she's not just beautiful, but I believe she's an incredible businesswoman. And as I said, I'm not here to say that endorsing this type of business. I'm looking here as American, that this woman has first of all, she's the spirit, in my opinion, she represents the spirit of this show. She's for freedom, individual responsibility. With her freedom comes responsibility, of course. And the beautiful thing, she's not for the handout. She could have chosen the way after she retired from the Air Force, to ask for welfare or whatever. She's an incredible businesswoman, and we are talking about here big money, okay? This is not just... and also the way she presents the business. And as I said, we don't need to go there and look at this as our personal opinion. I look at this from a business point of view. For example, testimonials. I was shocked and in a beautiful way by all these incredible testimonials that you have, and the way also the service that you offer, and the way it's customer oriented. I mean, it's almost like you go into the most important place that normally you would like to go, to the restaurant, and you have. It can make the difference the way they treat you, the way also they look at you not just as a customer to get your money, but also to want to come back. And I was very impressed, I must tell you.
Well, I try to be like my cat. I'll put it that way. I love how my cat purrs, and she makes me so happy when she's happy. So I try to be a kitty cat. I purr, and I'll make you happy, and that makes you happy if I'm happy. That's the kind of person I try to be, a happy cat.
Very good, very good. And question, Amy, where is it located? Can we remember to our customers, to our listeners, where is located the location of the Bunny's Ranch? Which part of Nevada?
Sure, we're located in northern Nevada. You fly into the Reno airport. We're a 25-minute drive from Reno. We are actually in a place called Mound House, which is at 1/2 a mile across the Lyon County line. So we are just across the county line where prostitution is legal. Prostitution is not legal in all the counties in Nevada, contrary to popular belief. The two largest counties that house Las Vegas and Reno, legal prostitution is not legal. And prostitution is only legal in a licensed brothel, and only if the lady is licensed to work within that brothel only.
I understand.
The brothel I currently work in is the Bunny Ranch, and we are located at 69 Moonlight Road. Now, Dennis Hoff, because we have done so much advertising, we are so customer-oriented that almost all the other brothels in Nevada have failed, and he is buying them all up. So we now currently have 7 brothels.
Wow.
We have 3 brothels in Lyon County. No, 4. 4 brothels in Lyon County. We have the Bunny Ranch, which is situated on one side of the road at 69 Moonlight Road. Then a half mile down the street, what they're calling the Red Light District, we have a conglomerate of 3 different brothels that are open.
A little bit of questions. I would like to, first of all, as I said, we're going to talk, especially with our legislators in the state of Arizona and people who are running for office. The main question is always this one. Why in the state of Arizona right now it is not contemplated, it is not legal for a woman or even for a man, because it's not just women, to have a private transaction, because this is what comes down to. It's a private contract between 2 or more people out of their free will. There is no coercion, to pretty much exchange a favor, a service. In this case, it's called sex, for money, for compensation. I mean, think about it. If I am a laborman, let's say I'm a carpenter, people hire me for my muscle and for my skills with my hands doing a home or whatever, pounding some wood. Maybe women have different type of skills. And as I said, it's their choice. So right now in this state, it's the government, the state pretty much has declared that you, as a person, can't not have the freedom to exercise control over your body in this line of business. So I really like to know more about what they're thinking. But meanwhile, let's talk a little bit about you. What is your typical day? I mean, you work, you are free, let's say you are like an independent contractor, correct? You work for yourself.
I am an independent contractor. Most of the girls have to choose a 12-hour shift, any 12 hours within the day that they want to work. A lot of girls come in from out of state or out of town, and they'll stay on property at the bunny ranch while they work. They're assigned a room, and usually according to their numbers that they bring in, the nicer the room they get. I, of course, have the nicest room on the property. I don't have to choose a 12-hour shift. I can go in and work any amount of hours that I want. I can work by appointment only. I choose to work a little more than that. I'll go in on the weekends and help guide the new girls or old girls and just be a part of the action. And I could very easily work by appointment only. I live 10 minutes away. And I have tried to retire before, and I just get bored silly.
I know. I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you this. I was reading on Wikipedia that you have a beautiful article about you. That in 2012 you retired, and now it's 2014. I see you back in action. This is pretty much why you were getting bored.
Yeah, that, and I had a spinal surgery. I had spinal stenosis. My vertebrae were crushing my spine. I went through a pretty tough period, and I had a 5-level laminectomy. They went through my back of my neck and fused 5 of my vertebrae with 2 rods and 10 pins. And as a result, it paralyzed my left arm temporarily.
Oh my gosh!
So, but you know what? I was at the gym today. I just kicked out 500 calories on the elliptical, and 2-3 years ago, I couldn't lift a broomstick over my head, and today I'm doing skull crushers with 20 pounds. I could never be happier. I'm just the happiest, luckiest girl alive.
Very good, very good. And tell us a little bit about, how the business side works. You go there, you're an independent contractor, you work with the brothel, of course, on the property, and how the money gets split. Let's say, I read, for example, here on Wikipedia that you had an average between $10,000 and $50,000 each month. Is that true? That's pretty much the average what you used to make.
That's true. A bad month I take home 10. Yeah, a bad month I'll take home 10. And, that's my worst day is somebody else's best. My worst day is always someone else's best. So I take that into consideration with everyone I meet. But my worst months are 10,000 take home, and good months are, and they're 50,000.
Wow.
Take home. And that's not every month. That's probably 4 months out of the year, 4 or 5 months.
I understand. So pretty much you split part of the money with the brothel. That's the service.
Historically, for the last 60-some years, it's a 50-50 split. And we split tips. Otherwise, girls would be having $100 parties. We call them parties. Every time we have a rendezvous or a session with the client, we trademark. We canned that and coined the term party. And so every time we party with somebody, what we do is we negotiate what we're going to do for how much time. We come to an agreement what is fair to each of us for how much time you want to spend, what you want to do, and what you can afford.
Okay.
And then we come to an agreement.
No.
And that could be with a credit card or cash. There's no surcharge for the credit card. And what the girl does then is take the money up to the cashier or the credit card, and they account that money, and we get paid the following day.
Okay.
50% minus the room and board is $25 a day, and that covers 24-hour meals. It covers laundry. It covers the maid service. It covers maintenance. And I think Dennis makes probably, I think he says 11 cents on the dollar, considering all the employees and upkeep and the maintenance in the building that he does.
The cost.
So I see no problem in the 50-50 split.
Yes.
If you can look at it one way, that 50%, the bottom line goes to protect me.
Yes, it's like a partnership.
All the advertising that he does is a bonus, because a lot of brothels don't do that.
Yes, I understand.
And then 50% goes to protect the customer.
Very
if
good.
If you go with respect from a stranger, a lot of bad things can happen. That won't happen at the bunny ranch.
You're right.
There's no one under the bed going to hit you in the head. No one's going to steal your wallet. The police aren't coming to raid the place. Your name's not going to the paper. Your car's not getting confiscated. All these things. Plus, we're tested for 5 different STDs plus chlamydia once a week. Once a month, they draw blood for syphilis and AIDS. And once a year, they test us for Hep A, B, and C, and we're immunized for Hep A and B.
Wow.
Now, if you were to ever go, we have the health department comes out a couple times a year and gives us an update on from the Center of the CDC and what we should be looking for, and just to keep us updated and aware of what the sexually transmitted diseases and the communicable diseases are that are out there. Last year, they told us that if you were to ever decide, go out to eat dinner in a restaurant, ever once in your life, you should be immunized against Hep A and B. But now you see that we're getting told to get immunized for shingles. So we're very on top of the health issues. At any given time, there are 500 illegal HIV-infected prostitutes working in Las Vegas. Every year, they catch 1,000 HIV-infected prostitutes in Las Vegas.
My gosh.
We have never had a case of HIV in any other Nevada legal brothels.
Exactly. And that's what exactly I was trying to say to some of the politicians that I've been talking with. You know, their first line of response, the first statement says, hey, we need to protect the safety of our residents or our constituents. And I completely disagree, I said, because let me tell you something. I can go tonight, right now, in any of the average bar here in the area, and I can get diseases for free. Okay, first of all, you're not my mom, you're not my dad. I think I should be responsible. But the point is, legal prostitution is probably one of the most safest place. It's safer than many other form of entertainment that you go there and you think you're doing just your regular flirting thing. And there really at the bar, you can pretty much have more chances to take a disease. That's the bottom line. So the argument that they're trying to make that we cannot allow legalization of prostitution because we are concerned about the diseases, there's no logic there. That's completely wrong.
There's no logic. And for you to be making these this aware to your politicians, it's really, really, I don't know if you realize what an impact that has. Your area, Phoenix, is one of the country's highest rate of underage sex trafficking in the country.
Yes.
It's right up there with Las Vegas and right up there with Oakland, California. You're number 2 or number 3. Your numbers are real bad.
Yeah. Nice
and we have a 65-year-old operation, an institution, a model of legal prostitution that works. It works.
Yes. And as I said, at this point, to come down to a reality, people must admit that this is just something that because they want to impose their moral values on others. And I really believe, even I said, I do not endorse this. I'm not saying this is something I would do, but it is not my right as a human being, as an American. It's not my right to judge others people personal choices, especially when we met the condition that, first of all, there is free will in both parties. There is no coercion, something exactly the opposite of what happens in the market, in the illegal market of prostitution. There are people called pimps or this sort of, very violent situation that people get kidnapped. And think about the mafia movies. I mean, this is real, okay? Here, finally, we have... Go ahead.
You are 100% right. It is a moral issue. It's a God issue. I'm sorry. I am not an atheist. I am totally 100% spiritual. I don't have a particular religion just because I'm against all of this, But I am very spiritual, and I'm a very good person, and I have a lot of morals myself. But this legal prostitution is completely 100% a moral issue. If I were to go head-to-head with anyone and ask you, well, are you against sex trafficking of underage women? They'd say yes. Okay. Are you against sex trafficking? Yes. Are you against the spread of STDs? Yes. Are you against illegal pimps? Yes. Are you against drugs? Yes. And so, and we would be yes all the way along the line, because that's what legal prostitution eliminates.
Exactly.
We eliminate the pimp that is using the money to buy drugs and the weapons. We eliminate the sex trafficking, and that I would have to equate to the war on drugs we've been fighting for 50 years and losing.
Yeah.
So you legalize marijuana, and you take out a great deal of the criminal element. You legalize prostitution, and you're going to take out a great deal of the criminal element. We're not going to solve the problem. No, we can't solve it, but we're going to take out, even if it's just a small portion of the crime or a large portion of the crime, and that's bottom line.
And also for me, it's very very disturbing the fact that there is no harm to anybody. Let's say me and you together, okay? I want to come to your place, and unfortunately, this is not in Nevada, okay? I'm just talking hypothetically, okay? In the state of Arizona, we have free will. We are over 18. It's my business. It's my money, okay? And nobody should tell me what to do with my money, okay? And we're not harming anybody. We're happy about it, okay? We have a deal. We have a contract, even just verbal. Why I should become a criminal? Why you should be put in jail? Why they should raid our place? We are not harming anybody.
You bring up the most fundamental of issues, and that's a First Amendment right and a Second Amendment rights. Those are our rights, and you bring up just the most fundamental of issues, whereas I'm bringing up the more minute and I don't know how to say it, the issues that have been proven. But yeah, that's the fundamental issue. It's my body. It's your body. We're not hurting anyone.
My money.
But I think everyone always thinks, you equate prostitution with the girl in short shorts and the crack pipe in her mouth and a pimp 50 yards away getting ready to beat her and take her money. Is that how it is? Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Can we eliminate all of it? No. But can we do something about it to put a dent in it? Yes, we can legalize prostitution. We have a model here in Nevada that works very well.
Can I ask you something, Amy? First of all, you seem very smart, by the way. No, you are smart. I mean, you're just not a woman with a pretty face. By the way, I really invite everybody to go to the website, lovegunsfreedom.com. I mean, she's a gorgeous lady. And the fact that I'm learning more about her, she's so smart. And also as a businesswoman, so serious and professional. I mean, I'm telling you, she writes back when she says so. I mean, she's like top service. Even just in this media relationship, you can see the personality of the professionalism of an individual, okay? Now, it's not always flowers. I mean, I'm sure that you've been doing this all these years because you enjoy it, you like the money, you like the challenge and everything else. But there also, like in every business, there is some down days. Sometimes you miss something. There's always the other side of the coin. If we can share from your humanity, from your human aspect, when you have some dark day, what is something that you miss from this life that you could not have, or something that you would change if you could?
Well, you know what? I get up there every day and I make a grateful list. I write what I'm grateful for and what I'm grateful for what I'm going to get. I learned that from the book The Secret. So you can't be hateful and grateful. I just don't believe there is a bad day as long as you're grateful and appreciative of all the good things. How can you have a bad day? I try not to have a bad day, and if I do have a bad day, I just reflect on all the blessings I have and all the great people that I know and all my blessings. I've been so blessed. I've put myself in some bad situations. I've made the kind of money. I've lived the lifestyle. Look, I'm no saint. I partied like a rock star. I had rock star money, and I partied like a rock star, and I put myself in situations where I was left for dead a couple times. And I've come back and I found God and I found a higher power and I worked a program of recovery, and I'm just the most grateful little girl you'll know, and I share that with people. And so it's hard to have a bad day when you're living in the life.
Amy, do you have a boyfriend or some sort of a special connection with somebody, if I can ask you?
I have a lot of boyfriends.
Okay, that's a good question.
I don't have one special boyfriend. I've tried it a couple times, and it just didn't work out. I have what they call a bad picker. I didn't know I was codependent, and the two gentlemen that I chose in my life, and I stayed with them about 8 months each, they turned out to be predators and controlling, and not very, very nice relationships. Very, 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 very bad. So, my clients give me, my clients and my cat give me all the love ID.
Okay.
And I really do. I keep in touch with clients that will never be able to afford to see me again. And we have relationships. I have friendships. I call, 4 or 5 people a day and email 50 people a day. And
Wow.
I'm in constant contact with so many people that have brought so much joy to my life. One person, I'm not sure. I kind of think that I have a soulmate up in heaven, and that God had asked somebody to go down to earth and perform this mission, and I volunteered to come down here.
Wow, interesting.
and be of service. And maybe my soulmate is up in heaven. Maybe he's down here on earth. I don't know. But I can't see doing my job and trying to have one particular relationship at the same time.
It's difficult.
Once every time, maybe I'll meet the right person and I'll decide I want to get married after a year or two. Nothing is out of the question. Nothing is out of bounds. I'll consider anything and try anything 10 times. And so right now, no, I do not have a significant other, except for a few of my clients that are just absolutely my significant other. And we have a deep, deep, deep connection.
And I don't want to sound corny, but I really believe, even, of course, I must be honest, I've never been with a professional lady, never in my life, okay? But I believe that it's a service for humanity. And now I tell you why. It's a social service. I have friends in my past life when I was in Italy, okay, that they were very shy, extremely shy. And they had a hard time to even connect with a girl, okay? Listen, guys, not everybody is... sometimes they're able to deal with girls. Sometimes people have problems. And I remember we were in Italy, and this guy was 22, okay, a friend of mine. And they said, look, I want to have sex. I'm 22. And I said, what do you want from me? I cannot do anything. I'm not a woman, okay? I can't help you. So, and he said, what can we do? I mean, show me some of your girlfriends. But at least if you don't talk to them, they're not going to like you. You need to be a little more normal, okay? Try to grow up. Yes, he has problems, okay? The guy has some, everybody has some personal problems.
Easier said than done, Luca. You're a great personality. Yeah. Now, everyone else, that's really hard for some people.
Yes. And you know what we had to do? And I feel sad about it because, I wish it would be better. The guy finally, he really had to look for a professional. But there are no professionals like you in Italy because it's illegal. And he almost got beat up in Rome.
Oh.
Seriously, poor guy. Because I said, please.
That's what happens.
Yes,
you go to a crime breeds crime. And you have nowhere to complain either.
And I was trying
that happens to you.
Yeah, and I was telling him, don't do that. Come on, it's something we can find some other solution. I mean, maybe I can get a girlfriend that can help you out in something, but I couldn't find anybody. I was so sad about it. And for desperation, for his birthday, by himself, he drove to this little bit outskirt area of Rome. It's Ostia, okay, just 30 miles from Rome. And it's like a little bush. And I said, and I found out the day after he called me, look, come pick me up. They beat me up. I said, what happened to you? And they stole all his money. It was something that I will never forget. And I was sad because I was thinking, you know what? I really believe that legal prostitution is done with a professionalism. It also is a social service for people like him and many other people. For example, they want to do things that they have in their fantasy that maybe they would never be able to do. For example, I see things that you offer on your site, like family reunion, I call them, like, husband and wife together, and and different things normally that, you can just dream, but maybe you don't find a woman that would like to have this sort of a relationship, even just for an hour. And, I really believe that, after all, as I said before, if you do not infringe on other people's rights, one of the founding fathers' goals when they wrote the Declaration of Independence was pursuit of happiness, okay? You have the right to be happy in every way you think is right for your moral and for your lifestyle, unless, of course, you don't do somebody else damages. So I really believe even in that area, you can have a chance to do things that normally you just maybe have in your fantasies. And they can be true, can become real. By the way, I know that you're not exactly cheap, okay? You are, let me tell you, I was reading some reviews. I know that you cannot say prices because there are some state laws that people must contact you directly. They want to find out how much cost, and I understand that you have different customization. Every customer is treated differently, depends on what they want. But let's put it this way. She's not a truck. She's a Ferrari, okay? And you need to...
Well, you know what, Luca? If they were to legalize prostitution across the country in more states, we would have more availability. It would be supply and demand, and the prices would go down.
Yeah, I agree.
Right now, we're the only place that has legal prostitution. It's safe. You have a system of complaints. We're regulated, and the price is high.
Yes.
And if we were to legalize it throughout the country, the price would go down because of supply and demand.
You are a free market genius, and I really like you because not only you are a veteran, Second Amendment advocate, First Amendment advocate, businesswoman, professional, and also you understand this concept of free market, something that our government should go to school to you probably. You know, they should learn a couple of things from you, really. And the question, I know that you did another incredible service because I would like to really share this. It's about the military people that I was reading that you were able to convince your the owner of the brothel to offer some sort of free bonuses for active duty military people. Is that right?
A free sex for the military. What was happening at the time, this was quite a few years ago, the troops were coming home from the Desert Storm, and they were getting egged.
Oh, my God.
Egged. Wow. Instead of from World War II, the big welcome home, it was like Vietnam. It was our troops were getting egged. They were egging the ship, and we were outraged. I was outraged, absolutely outraged. And I had someone to Dennis, and I said, you know what? How about we just offer free sex for the military?
Wow.
So we did. If you could prove that you had served, that you could bring your dog tags, you could bring your DD-214, you could put pictures, anything that proved that you had served in the military. We had a certain amount of time, 6 months, I believe it was, that you could come in and get it was a starter party, but free sex in the military.
Wow. And anybody try to cheat?
And then we challenged other businesses to do the same. Hey, give them a free ice cream cone. Hey, do some free dry cleaning.
Wow.
Hey, how about some free car service?
Wow. Anybody try to cheat? Did you find anybody who was trying to look like Rambo coming back from the war?
No, that would have been good.
Okay, good. I'm glad. So listen, and I'm very fascinated. This is for me also an experience to learn because it's something new. I never really had a chance. I heard that somewhere in Nevada prostitution was legal, and for me as a philosophical concept, I always supported that. Even I never had the chance to and the desire to go. I'm a monk. You don't know, but I am a monk with a rifle. Okay, so that's pretty much what I am.
Well, how about I would love to invite you to a free stay at the Bunny Ranch. You don't have to participate, but come see how we are and shoot a live broadcast from the Bunny Ranch.
That would be something that is very exciting, and I would like to say yes, if you're really a treasure, because I would love to. For me, the radio, by the way, I never really wanted to do radio. The owner of the station brought me in exactly 1 year ago. Is the way to amplify the message of freedom, and that's why I believe this is important to show to the rest of the listeners and to the people that normally they like to judge others that we are human beings. We are human beings,
Yeah.
And
it's just a moral issue.
Exactly.
And you know what? We overcome the LGBT and gay marriages. So, I think before I die, Luca, I think I will see it become legalized in more states. I really do.
And can I say something? Because something I'm not sure, okay, you tell me. To be sure that you ladies, you're safe from diseases, how does it work? I mean, when the customer has a body fluid, does he have to wear a condom? How does it work, this? I don't know. I mean, how do you know that?
The rules, the Nevada law is that condoms are mandatory with all activities, and there's no exchange of bodily fluids.
Okay.
And the girls, we do a preliminary visual test on the client. We look for open sores, genital herpes, genital warts.
Wow.
We do what's called the tack check. We pull up a little pre-ejaculation, and if it's clear and not milky or cloudy, you're generally safe.
Wow.
And my rule, and we have a book that we're given from the health department that shows the girls' pictures, and we're well read on all communicable and sexually transmitted diseases. And we look for these things. And if a girl thinks that she sees something she's not too familiar with, to bring in another girl, someone like me, who looks and says, oh, that's just a skin tag. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
If we see something that we really don't like, we'll you know what, sir? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I'm not a nurse. But this looks like something you might want to see your physician about.
Wow, interesting. I didn't know that. That's very good. And by the way, also, I'm sure, I don't want to say I'm sure, but I ask you, the fact that you have a safe environment, there is also some safety, security there, because I'm sure all the customers, they want to behave, they come there with a good attitude, but sometimes you never had any type of problems in all your years of career, like somebody getting drunk and doesn't want to pay the bill, or you have to call security? That never happened?
It's an actual phenomena that we do not have any trouble.
Wow.
Now, when the Mustang Ranch operated, it had security, and they had trouble all the time.
Wow.
We have no security, and we have no trouble.
Well,
we have panic buttons in our room that they are not a joke. They go directly to the Lyon County Sheriff's Office.
Wow.
If a girl hits that button, the sirens go off.
Wow.
And you got 50 girls running through that room with a bunch of high heels. Okay.
There's no forget. We have here airforce-amy, that she's a veteran and she knows how to kick ass. Okay, so watch it.
This happened. You know what? This happened the other night. I'm with the client. We heard a little scuffle out the bar. That's like the first time this year we've heard anything. He said, "Oh, is something bad going on?" I said, "No, they'd come get me if there was."
Oh my gosh! Listen, this is so exciting, and I learned so many things from you. I really think that you represent the spirit of the show, because, as I said, I'm here to bring back what I grew up in Italy. Okay, I always look America from the eyes of a young man. I left Italy when I was 28, and I wanted to become an American since I was 14. And I realized when I came here, things have changed. We're living like now pretty much in a new world. It's a global government. We have all these new different laws, and the Patriot Act and National Defense Authorization Act. Doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat, they're all pretty much destroying our rights. But the idea that still in the world there is a place like the Bunny Ranch with women like yourself, that you can still have freedom to do what you want to do with your body and decide pretty much how to live your life, I think is exciting. And I hope our legislators in Arizona can look at this without any more being pushed by the churches or other organizations, because it's not the government's role to legislate on morality. And I'm not, I believe in Christ, but I'm not here to preach. All I know that I read, and I'm not even an expert in the New Testament. Jesus said, first of all, if you are without sin, throw a rock at me, or something like that. Okay, so nobody's without sin. We're all sinners. Don't start to judge others. And before you start to look at other people's problems, remove the log out of your eye. So come on, guys, stop it, seriously. Because we must look at this right now from also a safety point of view for the women or the men. They decide to do this regardless you want or not. It's their choice, it's their body. Amy, I want to ask you one more thing, then I'll let you go. First of all, if people want to reach you, what is the way? Do you have a website, or there is any other way we can...
The best way is to go to my website, airforce-amy.com. You can click a quick contact form, or you can contact me and write a long essay of what's going on. I have a folder in my inbox that's just Ask Amy. It has nothing to do with making appointments.
Wow.
It's just Ask Amy, and just contact me. I'm here to help. Just hit my website, airforce-amy.com, and I immediately reply.
And last thing about
me.
Little bit about guns. Now we talk a little bit mostly about your profession, everything else. Since you're a veteran and you had to qualify, what was your rifle that you used for your qualification? What rifle did you shoot with?
Oh dear. Okay, I was an expert on M16, 81 Mike, 50 cal.
Wow.
M203, a 9mm, a 38, and I think that's an AR-15.
Yes.
I personally keep a Mossberg in my house.
Very good. This is exactly,
okay.
I would like to name you, I'm going to be the judge and jury at the same time, okay? The free spirit, the spirit of love, guns, and freedom, okay? You represent, first of all, love. That's your art, okay? You're the professional in that. Then you represent the sense of freedom, Okay, you really are showing that you are in control of your body and you make your life. And also you are for the free market. You are for not waiting for the government to hand you out a check. You are there and you made it from scratch and you work from the bottom. Now, the next thing also is about guns. I mean, this woman, she's not just a regular lady, she's a veteran. We should give her some respect for that. And also she knows how to use guns. So yes, your name, number one. I would like to put a photo of you, if you allow me, on my front page, because so all the false moralistic preachers, they're going to get really mad, and I like that, okay? And I would like to put a photo.
Let me send you a picture that's a little morally acceptable.
No.
The one that I sent you.
No. What I'll do, you do whatever you want, but I right now, by the way, I got reported on Facebook just because... yes, I post on my Facebook page your airforce-amy Wikipedia that I think is a very honorable photo. I mean, it's really nice. I mean, you just with a nice... you can see Victoria's Secret advertisement much more revealing than this one, okay? So, very polite photo. And somebody that didn't like it tried to give me a sermon, by the way, on my Facebook page. I had to remove him and block him. But before I block him, think about this audacity of this arrogant prick, okay?
I just got deactivated on Twitter, so you
really?
know.
I mean, I'm posting something.
It is what it is.
I'm posting something on my Facebook page, okay, with a photo of you that comes directly from Wikipedia, as announcing you as also a very important
really?
topic. Yeah, and so it's not even like I post the other photo. I post the photo from
Right.
Wikipedia, and somebody didn't like it, reported my post. Okay, think about
That's
it.
crazy.
It is crazy. That's why I really believe
Yeah, I'm fully clothed in that one. I have gloves on and it's
I know.
PA.
I know. That's why I want to do more, and I believe this is important that we are not shy to talk about this topic in a reasonable way, like we were talking about anything else. That's the problem. People that have been shy and too much taboo for too many years. This is not, we are not living in Iran under the Ayatollah or under the Taliban. We're supposed to be in America. Pretty much the concept.
Yes, right.
We are here to respect other people's rights. That's why this is not prostitution that happens on the street under your home. This is in a legal place, safe place, and private place. And it's none of our business what happens between those walls among these people. Can I give you a hug, a virtual hug?
Yes, I love you. I love you with all my heart.
And I love you with all my heart, too.
I stand for.
I want to thank you,
Yes.
and I would like to dedicate a song for you that is going to be a love song to you and all the ladies at the Bunny's Ranch. And
I have goosebumps.
okay, and I will send you a CD if you allow me to. I will send you one of my CDs. I write songs. That's what I do for a living, among other things. And I will send you a couple of my CDs that you can play with your friends there, and hopefully you'll think about me. Okay.
I will. You spooned me. I'm in love with you already.
There we go.
Thank you so much, Luca.
Thank you. We've been talking
Thank
with
you.
luca-zanna on Love, Guns, and Freedom with a special, incredible guest, Airforce-amy.
I walk alone in the night. So many things I wanna try. You come to me with your smile. I can't resist you tonight. Temptation, a new sensation. I wanna try with you tonight. Temptation, a new sensation. I wanna try with you tonight. Another lie, another smile. Just let it go, just let it fly. I want to feel everything under my skin tonight. Temptation, new sensation. I wanna try
Here we go. This is the hour number 3, and today we will talk in these hours about guns. Normally, when I talk about guns, I talk with experts. We're having a professor in guns rights and philosophical, the Second Amendment, also practical training. Like we had many experts also as instructors. Today, this is probably one of the best way I like to enjoy this hour. It is not just about, saying things to people they already know, what is about the Second Amendment or assault weapons, or they call it assault weapon. Regardless, it is to reach out people that they are still on the fence, that they have an open heart, they have a good attitude, but still they're not sure. Maybe they have a different opinion when it comes down to the Second Amendment and all this famous assault weapon. And that's why I'm here. I'm not here to try to convince you. I'm here to try to inject in each other real facts with real opening to make you think that the Second Amendment, it's a right, like every other right in the Bill of Rights, announced in the Bill of Rights. It's a personal right. And I think it's very dangerous when the government starts to legislate and regulate that right. And I'll tell you also why. Now, I have a guest. She's an incredible lady. I had a chance to meet her just last week. I was a guest on her show. She's a Patriot. She's from California. And she's still a little bit, though, not sure about the Second Amendment the way it should be. So that's why we're here. Linda from Lancaster. Linda, are you there?
Yes, I am, Luca. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So I'm so glad because during the interview that you were so nice to have me on your show, and we talk about several things. At the end of the interview, you started to have some very good questions about the Second Amendment, and specifically you were talking about these evil assault weapons. And I had a chance to share a little bit, some factual things, and you gave me the idea, say, you know what, I need to talk to Linda, because this is important. This is not just about you, Linda. It's about many other people out there that they, in good faith, they have concerns. And I think the purpose of this show, it is to try to have a communication, to try to educate each other and bring facts about our Second Amendment right. So here I am. I'm all for you. First of all, introduce a little bit yourself. Where are you from? What do you do? And tell us a little bit about you.
All right. I was born in 1959, and I was born in Santa Monica. My parents were already living in the San Fernando Valley, the way it was back in 1959, so it might set the scene for a few people that know a little bit about the way the area's changed. It was orange groves and horses still in the San Fernando Valley when I was born. So it was a very idyllic childhood, really, is what I think of it as. Mm-hmm. We played hide and seek. The whole block played together. We had our war games even. My dad even got in a little hot water with my mom by teaching us how to make rubber band guns.
Wow.
So and then we used squirt guns for the rest of it. And one time, everybody's wet after you squirt everybody, and I got somebody and they said that I didn't, so I went in the house and got Kool-Aid and put it in my gun. And I got in trouble for that too. But so it was a fun childhood. It really was. And guns, they weren't in my household in any other sense other than hunting. Mm-hmm. My brothers did go hunting and would bring home pheasant and venison. They'd go fishing and bring home trout. So all of that I was part of too. So guns were just a part of life, but they weren't what we thought of as personal protection. Mm-hmm. I didn't grow up in that atmosphere. Mm. So, okay, we can fast forward through all the rest of that. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, as I said, and it's changed a lot, and I know the world has changed a lot. But my only experience is with California. It's the only place I've lived. I now live up in what's called the Antelope Valley, in specifically Lancaster. So, and the area up here is very different from how I grew up. Yeah, I still live in a nice, quiet little neighborhood, but the world at large, and, here like everywhere else, there is crime, mm-hmm. There are gangs, everywhere. So I can certainly understand the concern over personal protection. I mm-hmm. can.
Okay.
And none of that bothers me.
Okay.
what bothers me about guns is the amount of anger I see, and both sides are angry. But when you add guns to that anger, that's when I get scared. If somebody's angry at me and they don't have a gun, I know the worst they can do is shout at me, call me names, whatever. But if somebody has a gun and they're angry at me, with very little effort, they could pull out a gun and shoot me. That's the fear. That's the fear part of it.
So that would be your first concern, like as human beings, okay, made of emotions and imperfections, you're concerned that if a human being may have a gun and he may be angry, there could be some sort of extra tool to kill somebody, to harm somebody. So that's your first concern.
Yeah.
So, you know what? And it's more than a good question, because I believe that that could be said with any way. I mean, I could get a real weapon of mass destruction, for example, a truck, and drive in the middle of a crowd and honestly make much more damages than you say, probably a handgun, okay? Or there are so many ways you can harm people. And don't get me wrong, I understand that, because that could be done in any moment of our life, and anybody around us could become one of that. But my question is this to you. First of all, do you believe in collective punishment, or you believe that I should be innocent until proven guilty? The point is this one. I mean,
innocent until proven guilty, for sure.
Yes, so that's very important. So let's say if there is, it's a statistic we know very well. Among every 100 person, this is, I think is an FBI statistic, there is one potential killer. Okay, so every 100 people, there is one person is a bad apple. Are you familiar with that type of statistic? It's pretty much common also sense. It's normal,
right?
You know. Now, for that person, because we have fear that one person could be a bad apple, the question is, should 99% of the rest of us, law-abiding citizens, normal people, be paying the consequences for, first of all, that potential criminal?
No, not at all.
Okay.
And that's not the type of gun control that I personally advocate for. I don't really advocate in the sense that I don't really go out there and campaign for it. That's not the type of gun control that I agree with.
Okay.
I agree with doing background checks. I agree that people who have already demonstrated a violent nature certainly should not have the right to own guns. I believe that people who have shown that they are mentally unstable should not be allowed to have guns. You know, and that's as far as it goes.
But you know, there are already laws on the book. I mean, there are federal laws and state laws that what you're saying, it is very well covered. I mean, if you have, for example, unfortunately now they're getting to a point that they are not even anymore under due process. I mean, for example, I completely agree. If you have some mental problem, okay, especially now, you see most of these mass shooting, they have one thing in common. I'm sure you heard about it. All these different mass shooting situations, like the Columbine, or this the Virginia Tech, or many, many others. One thing in common is called Big Pharma. I mean, talking about psychodrugs.
Right.
And you see, this is not even a conspiracy, it's factual. All these different products they're supposed to help for depression, unfortunately, just reading their little booklet, they have all side effects. They got you in these suicidal tendencies. They got you into this depression, extreme depression, and violent behavior. This is a fact. So, first of all, there are already laws on the book that if you have some serious medical condition, or if you do any type, for example, if you are a felon, or if you've been, let's say, in a situation of domestic violence, you already cannot have a gun. The problem you know very well, if you are a criminal, if you are a bad person, you're not going to follow the law. I mean, it's not because there is a sign at the entrance of this door saying no guns allowed. You know, let's say you go into a bank, no guns allowed. You as a law-abiding citizen, you're going to follow that law, or that, let's say, policy for the establishment. But the criminal is going to laugh at you, say, great, this is like hunting territory. No guns are allowed, but I do have guns because I'm a criminal. So right there, I tell you, we already have laws. The problem that these laws, they are just pretty much made for law-abiding citizens. The people that are not concerned about laws, nothing going to stop them. Now, I wanted to ask you something very important. You believe that before we go into the philosophical aspect, of all the different aspects also of the assault weapons or things, whatever you want to talk about them, do you believe that the Second Amendment, it is an individual right or it's a collective right?
I believe it's both. Because we were being invaded by Britain. Mm-hmm. It could happen at any time. And at that time, and I think that they were basing their, they were wanting to protect the future as well, not just themselves, but they were also thinking of the future. Mm-hmm. They never wanted to be in another situation where a government could invade them, mm-hmm. and they would not be able to fight that government off. So they wanted to maintain a militia, mm-hmm. but in the sense that every citizen is responsible for fighting off an invading government. But and also your own individual right.
Mm-hmm. Good. I think I exactly agree what you're saying, because first of all the rights enumerated in the enumerated in the Bill of Rights, because remember, the Bill of Rights does not give us rights. The rights come directly from the Creator as human beings. Yeah. But they are enumerated just for purposes of reminding the government that we have these rights. It's an individual right, because after all, it says the right of the people. It doesn't say the right of the army, of the militia. But at the same time, it's also, as you were saying, that is the first part, a well-regulated militia is very important for the defense of the free state. That's very important, because we didn't have an army like this sort of a professional army that we have today. We didn't even have the National Guard, because many people say, oh, this is just for the National Guard. That's not true. National Guard just started to happen just at the beginning of the century. So there were citizen soldiers, volunteer form of citizenship, as a sort of a militia that was done in a volunteer basis, but also there was a duty. Everybody from 16 to 45 or more, you had to be part of it. But at the same time, it's very much important. People understand this is it's an individual right, like your First Amendment, like your Fourth Amendment, like all the different Bill of Rights, the individuals. Now, if you start to think that anybody can misuse these rights, that's true. I can be they say words, they can be milder than swords, I can say terrible things over the internet about somebody with my First Amendment, create a lot of, harm, and also things that I can be responsible and accountable. You know what I mean? So yes. The same way, the Second Amendment, we say in people that own guns, you're liable and responsible for every bullet that goes through your barrel. It is not a light thing. It is not just something it is a huge responsibility. And, with freedom comes responsibility. So the point is, yes, I understand that we must have some basic, first of all, safety rules. We must have some training. I think that should be very important. At the same time, I don't believe, though, there should be some sort of conditions like in California that the state decides if you can have it or not. Because now, for example, the difference between California and other states like Arizona, in Arizona, unless I have a criminal record, unless I am a felon, forbid a person by the law to own a gun, I can walk into a shop and I can buy any gun I need. All they do is, of course, it's a background check to be sure that I have, this is a federal law, by the way, that I have no felony or no restraining order with domestic violence. And at that point, they must give me a gun. In California, it's different. Especially if you want a CCW, you must go through some sort of permit. It is a permit. The sheriff or the police chief, he has the power to say yes or no, regardless that you don't have any type of bad behavior. It is at their discretion. So therefore, it is no more a right. It is a privilege, like it used to be in England, like it is in England. In England, they don't even anymore that, but like it is in Europe in general. Citizens, they're subjects because the state, after all, it grants you privileges. You don't have rights. So that's very important, because at the end of the day, what is really the purpose of the Second Amendment for you, Linda? If you had to describe in three things, what would be the most important thing comes to your mind? Why do we have a Second Amendment?
Well, it is the right to bear arms.
Why? Why not bricks? No, why not pitchforks? Why do we really need the arms?
Guns are much more efficient. at
Okay.
protection.
Okay, so you think
They're
it's like,
the most efficient thing there is, really.
so you think is protecting against the criminals? That's the main purpose.
Protection against any threat, any outside threat,
Mm-hmm.
but a real threat, not a perceived threat.
Of course.
A real threat.
Remember something. First of all, you cannot, in any state, even in Arizona, where we have, for example, this castle doctrine and stand your ground, that I know you're concerned about it. If we want, we can talk briefly. There are some very, very strict rules of engagement. You cannot just go out and start to shoot anything moves just because you're afraid. You must be sure that you are articulating everything you're doing, and you're responsible, as I said, to every round goes out your barrel. So, for example, the only conditions that really, at the end of the day, justify lethal force, even in the states where there is this stand your ground, or, for example, the castle doctrine, okay? And I'll tell you briefly, just to remind to our listeners how it works. For example, you break into my house, okay? And it's night, and I'm fearful for my life. I mean, honestly, if somebody breaks into your home and you're by yourself, even in the Bible, I know there are some situations that you really specify at night, especially when you cannot even see the threat, and that somebody that comes to your home, it's really that give you enough reasons to be fearful for your life. You are justified to defend your life. It is not about killing. It is about justifying to defend and save a life. We are not here to do some sort of vigilantism or to kill people. The right that we have is to defend and preserve life and stop a threat. So even in Arizona that we have, for example, and I know in California it's different. In California, I have to retreat. Let's say somebody breaks into my home. I am in my living room, okay? People, please don't take this for 100% because I'm no lawyer. Go to talk to your lawyer. And this is the way I read the law, okay? In California, I have to retreat. Before I engage with lethal force, I must run almost with the last room that I have inside my house with my shoulder on the wall. And only then I can open fire, defend myself. And still I may be liable civilly. The family of the scumbag may sue me. And also the prosecutor may come after me. Believe it or not, it's sad, but this is the way it is. I'm in my own home. And first of all, I need to run or put myself in a way that I don't have anywhere to go. And only then I can defend myself. I find it very sad because sometimes you don't have that option. And I believe at that point, if I see somebody that is in danger is my life or my family's life, I have the right to do whatever I think according to my morals is right to do. In Arizona, it's different. You break into my home, you lose rights. If you come, not in my home just to bring me a coffee or just to sell me, let's say, if you come to my home with a flyer, as let's say, knocking at the door or trespassing just because you're an idiot, that's not enough reason to kill you or to stop the threat, because there is no threat. You may be a pain in the butt. I call the sheriff. You're trespassing, but that's different. We don't shoot people just because you are trespassing. You must always justify. And the basic general rule, it is, where you were fearing for your life, was your life in jeopardy? Did you have any other chance? That's the bottom line. Could you avoided that? So that's the point. You always must justify that there is a serious, imminent threat to your life of some innocent life. So you can just, not even stand your ground. It is not something that gives you the right to go out on the street. It's okay, you look at me wrong. Now stand my ground, apologize, or I'm going to shoot you. That's not the way it works. There is no justification for lethal force unless the condition of fearing for your safety and life or for somebody else's life. That's it. Everything else must be avoided. Are you familiar with that? What I'm saying?
Yes, I am. There are many cases that come to mind, and Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin is the one that comes to mind quickest.
Okay.
He continued to follow Trayvon after being told to stop by law enforcement. He felt a threat. Well, he pursued that threat. He gunned Trayvon down. He was not armed. He was not doing anything wrong. And yet our laws acquitted him because he felt threatened. So right there, that case proved that what you're saying may be the ideal, but boots to the ground, it isn't what happened.
Okay,
and that's when I say, okay, you know what, we're going to have more rights than anybody else would have. So I agree with you there.
But just to let you know, this is not, even when there are castle doctrine, like for example the castle, it's your home, it's your castle, like used to be during common law, even during the British Empire, you know, your home, that's your castle. Even with the stand your ground, there are very specific restrictions. You always must remember that there is one thing that is a general rule. You cannot use deadly force unless there is a justification to defend your life. Your life is in imminent threat. You cannot just even point a gun at somebody just to intimidate. You remember when Vice President Biden said, hey, if there is somebody coming around, don't worry, just shoot a couple of rounds in the air with your shotgun. People went to jail. That's a brandishing a weapon. That's discharging a weapon. It means if you have to shoot in the air, mean that there is no real threat. If you're really fearing for your life, the only time that you have to really pull the trigger is when your life, you have no other options. That's the bottom line. And that's pretty much the general law, the general rule. Now, seriously, talking about these assault weapons, we were talking about this during the show, and you were concerned about the assault weapon. Tell me a little bit exactly what are your concerns so I can try to give you some opinion about it.
I think because the gun owners that I hear talking about them, there's almost like an excitement. And it reminds me of little kids playing with G.I. Joes. the bigger and better weapon, the bigger bang, and there's an excitement.
Okay.
And my fear is that these weapons are really way too much. It's like allowing someone to own a tank when they could get around in a Prius.
Okay.
They don't need the tank. Just because it's exciting to drive it, you don't need it. And I understand that's a slippery slope because then you're starting to take away personal freedom and personal liberty, and it's based on opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the point is, I always go this by rule. Everybody is accountable and responsible for their own action. I mean, to be excited, it is not a crime. I can be excited about a football team. I can be excited about a car. I can be excited about a book. I mean, there are some books that are terrible. Think about it. But the point is, am I harming anybody? Did I commit any crime? That's the point. It's just being excited is one thing. To be irresponsible is another thing. And if somebody is responsible or she is responsible, she will be paying the consequences, and only him or her. That's the point. Because, as I said, there are a lot of, in the gun owners family, okay, there are a lot of people, like humanity. There are people that they really understand the responsibility, and they understand that with freedom comes responsibility. And normally, I'm telling you, the average gun owner, especially people who has a CCW, they understand and they want to behave way above the average, because they understand the liability, the responsibility that they have. And for example, myself as a gun owner, I never put myself in a situation that like fights or argument. I try to avoid, because what's the point? You know that you have like
right.
people, you have this extra responsibility, and you don't want to even put yourself in the situation. Normally they say, and it's true, a armed society, it is a polite society. I live in Mojave County, Arizona, pretty much one of the most gun active area in the States, where we don't even have to ask for a permit to buy a gun. We can conceal guns without government permit, okay?
Wow.
People are so polite. Yes, there is always some idiot at the range that needs to learn a little bit of some basic safety rules. Maybe it would be nice to send them to some training. I understand that. But normally, nobody's committing any type of mass murdering here. We don't have any type of, my gosh, it is just another day, like you have a hammer, like you have a spare tire, like you have, a shovel, you have a gun. And normally we are more polite than the average, because when you walk around with everybody's armed, you try to be sure that you don't want to give even the false impressions that you're rude, because you want to be sure that it's almost become, in a way, overacting in a good way, you know. You want to be sure that you are more polite than ever. And it's very true. I'm telling you, I'm not trying to, I noticed that. More important, I say, when you think about it, that, you know, if somebody is an idiot, somebody has the big gun, okay, did he commit any crime? Did he brandish this gun? Did he do something unlawful? If he did, he will pay the consequences. But the rest of us, 99% of us, we shouldn't be penalized. Because honestly, the gun for me, it is not just for Second Amendment purposes, like the right to keep and bear arms for defense of the nation and freedom, and also against tyranny and personal defense. It's also because I enjoy. People collect cars. People collect butterflies. I like to collect guns. And there's nothing wrong with that. The only point I'm trying to say is this. Yes, there are idiots out there, like everything else. I mean, I'm sure you can know some people that they're very responsible with their cars. You're familiar with them. I have few that I know that they like to be loud and go too fast. And honestly, they're very dangerous. Don't you think about that? Somebody with a car can be very dangerous on the highway if he doesn't behave correctly. But
I know.
Should we punish everybody else? Should we punish, for example, you that you want to maybe buy a Ferrari that is very dangerous, can go, 250 miles an hour? I mean, no. We should punish only the people that they are responsible. This is pretty much my only thing I would like to say there. But
I guess my thing is I'm more in favor of preventing things from happening.
Okay.
You talked about cars.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you drink and you drive, the first time it happens, you should lose your license for at least 6 months or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it should not be allowed that if you do that, if you just drink and drive, you don't hurt anybody, you don't damage any property, you just drank and you drove.
Okay.
I think that the punishment should be as harsh as possible.
I understand. And there are already laws, by the way, on the book from every state has different law that pretty much they're saying what you mean. They're doing what you're saying. And same story with guns.
And almost coming up 3 years now, my son was killed by a drunk driver.
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. And is
this, my older son, Jeffrey, was killed by a drunk driver. This drunk driver had one run-in with the law when he was 21. The officer gave him a ticket. He went before the DMV review board, and they let him walk, and they let him keep his license.
Oh, my gosh.
And he went off on his way.
So sorry about
He had
that.
another run-in with the law. He was drunk in the commission of a felony.
Wow.
They allowed it to be pled down to a misdemeanor.
Wow.
A felony
My gosh.
to be pled down to a misdemeanor. And again, he walks, he's got his license, he's out there.
Terrible.
A year later is when he killed my son.
That's terrible.
And that's when, and that experience I bring with me to this argument. My younger son, and I know that there's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to like me for it for whatever reason. They've got their personal reasons. But my younger son, his father is African American.
Okay.
And so my other concern is, as the mother of a son who is very light complected, but however is easily recognized as someone who is African American.
Okay.
My concern is my son's going to be shot because he's going to be a perceived threat based on just the way he looks. There is a higher incidence of people being threatened by just the appearance of someone when they fit a certain demographic that you feel threatened by. It's like locking your doors when you go through a certain neighborhood.
Okay, Linda.
There are certain people that when they walk down the street, just by their appearance, they are already perceived as a threat.
Linda, let me tell you something. First of all, and you cannot, there is no state, and I don't even think just in the United States, all over the world, that you can shoot at somebody just because the way they look or just because you don't like him. I mean, seriously, we already have so many laws on the book, even in anywhere, Arizona, Texas, doesn't matter which state. I can never think that just because you are looking suspicious, I can pull a gun on you and shoot you. This is not even close. The same point I would like to say, it is like right now, just because we could be afraid that some ethnic group could be more, in dangers for prejudices or whatever you want to say, we cannot say, okay, for this reason now we must limit the Second Amendment. By the way, do you know the first gun control laws, when they were passed? Because we never had permits. The Second Amendment itself was the permit. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The first gun control laws were passed exactly during slavery. Because the masters, they were afraid that slaves, especially after the emancipation, after the Civil War, having rights, they would have the opportunity to start to defend themselves.
Right.
That's the most important thing we must understand. If we believe in freedom, if we believe in, especially in the minorities, they must have the right to defend themselves more than everybody. This is exactly what the roots of evil are. The first gun control laws, they were like the permit, like the marriage license. We didn't have marriage license. They were done because the government was afraid of interracial marriage. And so for the guns, slaves are never armed in all history. And that's where I'm coming to. The most important thing for me of the Second Amendment, it is not just about defending ourselves against criminals. And we can talk about that. That's important, of course. But it's about that we are free human beings. And I will play for you right now a short clip before we leave that probably I'm going to make you think that in every civilization, under almost every government, the first thing they do, the conquerors or the masters, they disarmed the population. And then where they completely control you, and if you don't follow their rules, they kill you. I'm talking about millions and millions and millions of government sponsors homicide. So same story with black people. If I was a black, I really think that more than everything, I want that Second Amendment. I need it. Because when the KKK was coming around your home and you were by yourself and the sheriff was part of it, and you with your family, you wish you had that shotgun or your gun inside your house to defend yourself. Think about it. Think about it. That's for me the most important thing. That's the way slavery was so important that unfortunately the way they did these gun permits, the gun laws for slaves. And now, as a minority, everybody should understand that, say, wait a second, I don't want to be restricted on my right. Because they want to be, especially people that you live, like let's say normally minority lives in environments that they are a little more crime propense. They don't live in Beverly Hills. Minority live in areas that they are more criminal areas. There is more criminal. The police are less present. And if they are, unfortunately, sometimes I don't even trust them that much. So you need to take care of your family. You need to take care of your home, of yourself. So a man, that's why I really believe that when they call, for example, these low-budget guns, they call it Saturday Night Special, and they try to outlaw them in many states. That's, for me, it's a working man gun. If I am a working man, and if I come from a poor environment, I can't spend $1,000 for a Kimber or for a nice gun. Maybe I have under $50, and I can buy a good gun with that money. So I really believe Second Amendment should be for everybody, minority especially, people that they are always being persecuted, and they need to understand that more restriction we put and more power you give to the government to control and regulate the right, you're going to be penalized. Now, I would like to play for you, before I play, I would like to just touch 1 second briefly about this assault weapon. I know that you're concerned about the full-size magazine, the 30 rounds, high capacity, like they call it in California, and this evil AR-15. Correct? Am I right? You're kind of concerned about this?
Yeah, I don't see those weapons as evil. I see them as it's irresponsible to put something that powerful out there for the general population.
Okay, good. Let me answer to this briefly. First of all, the weapon itself, it is not just an object. It is some plastic, metal, whatever. It is the person that can be good or bad. You can do good or you can do bad with a weapon. But let's go, first of all, from the practical and technical point of view. Assault weapon, it's a word that is being misused by politicians to try to create an hysteria, because the assault weapon, as you call it, let's say the AR-15, okay? This evil black rifle, what does it have? It has just some aesthetical characteristic of the real assault weapon. The real assault weapon, it is a rifle that normally shoots medium-sized caliber centerfire rounds in a semi-auto or full automatic switch. That means there is a switch. You can shoot semi-automatic. That means every time you squeeze the trigger, there is one bullet coming out of your barrel. Or you can go straight to full auto. That's the assault weapon. Everything else we have for civilians, these AR-15, AK-47 pattern style, they're just semi-automatic rifles with the aesthetical characteristic of an assault weapon. For example, the AR-15 that you buy as a civilian, unless you have, you want to apply for a federal law to have the Class 3A full automatic rifle, that by the way is going to cost you thousands of dollars because they're pretty much hard to get, and you still need to have special $200 federal stamp. But the average person cannot do that. Especially in California, there is already a law that you cannot have a full automatic weapon unless you are in law enforcement. So what you have here, we have in a rifle that looks like the assault weapon, but after all, it is just a rifle, semi-automatic, that it shoots the round just every time you squeeze the trigger. There are not any type of contemplated full automatic characteristic. You would be a felon just to have a little part of the trigger group that would be considered full auto. Not even have it in the gun, just on it. So right there. Now, the purpose of these rifles, they're not for hunting, but they are for defense. Remember during the rioting in Los Angeles, I was in Italy in the 90s, the earthquake, and there was rioting after. I mean, we have different situations, especially during the rioting in the black community, where all these different businesses, especially in downtown, the Korea and all these different businesses, they were really under a siege. Do you remember that? I used to watch that in Italy from the TV. Are you familiar with that rioting?
Yes.
I mean, who was able to defend themselves? People that were armed. Police, National Guard, they weren't around, or not for everybody, for sure. And the point is to have the little bit of chance to defend yourself against a mob or against some extreme situation. If you tell me that you can, as a person or as a society, you can tell me how many rounds I can have in that rifle or how much type of firepower I can have, especially when we're talking about just semi-automatic rifle. This is mostly just an emotional issue because there's not really practical things. I mean, I'm shooting still the same rounds I would shoot with a bolt action. Just I can shoot them a little faster. But at the same time, think about you're surrounded by a mob during a riot, and you're limited by the government to tell you how many rounds I can put in that magazine or how many rounds I can shoot through that barrel. That's, I think, is very sad because, it's a huge limitation already on what you have the right for self-defense. Remember something, the Second Amendment didn't say the right of the people to keep a bare single bolt action musket. They said keep and bear arms. Anything that you can carry on your hands that is for the personal defense. And honestly, the idea was exactly to have the same firepower than the government had. Because the purpose of the Second Amendment was created exactly as the last line of defense against enemies, foreign and domestic. That's in every scripture, every book, every letter of the Founding Fathers. They've been talking over and over about that.
But following that, then, the logic would be that we should be able to have nuclear weapons.
No,
then.
That's not a personal individual weapon. That's a weapon of mass destruction. I understand.
But you're saying that we should be able to bear all the. Well, it is different. It is different. I'll get you that.
It's like
Let's not go down that road. It's ridiculous.
Apple with
I don't
oranges.
know why that came to mind.
That's okay. That's
Never
good.
mind.
But that's
Scratch
good.
that.
Trust me, I got that many times. Trust me, that's a good question. It's good because make you think. I never said we must have a weapon of mass destruction. I'm talking about something that for your person, as an individual right, I'm able to defend myself and my family. And as a community, together, we can join together. For example, let's say if I'm crazy, okay, and I believe this government is out of control, we're living like whatever, but it's just me, everybody looking at me. So what are you talking about? As a nation, we're happy, or at least enough of us, we're okay. So my weapon cannot influence the majority and the rest of sanity of people, okay? But when, for example, you see like what happened, for example, at the Bandis in Nevada, I don't know if you follow that. We want to exercise.
Yeah, I'd like to hear about your experiences there, and then I have my own views of that.
Let me give you just the short story. I was there. I wasn't there for the cows because I don't even eat cows, but I was there for the rights of freedom of speech, first of all. When I saw women and men being tased and beaten up just because they were taking photos and they weren't complying to be having their First Amendment in their little corral, the federal government gave them like in the middle of the desert, like a little corral area with a fence, First Amendment speech area, I had a problem. I had to go there. Now, the sad thing I realized, I saw with my own eyes for the first time really, what means to have guns only in the government hands. We were exercising our First Amendment in the middle of a BLM, and the BLM agents or some federal agents, they were pointing loaded rifles at us. And the crowd was unarmed. The only difference was, though, that behind us, we had Americans with rifles that they never really wanted to do anything because nothing happened. But in case somebody was going to shoot at us, we had the right of self-defense. We never pointed a rifle at the BLM. The BLM, they were pointing rifles in the day first, before even the standoff happened. You can see videos of the son of Bandis, one of the son of Mr. Bandis. He was taking photos of snipers just 100 yards on top of the hill, pointing down rifles at Americans, just exercising the First Amendment. And that's pretty much factuals. You can see also this on video. I can send you a video. I was there on the front line. And my point is, that day, I really believe things happened the way it happened, a peaceful way. The only reason why was because we had the right of self-defense, and government knew it. And it wasn't just about one or two people say, okay, I have guns. And no, there was enough people to show to the government that we are understanding of our rights. We understand the basic human rights and constitutional amendment that we have as in the Bill of Rights, and we are standing the line. That's why it's so important to have this concept of the gun or the rifle, whatever weapon you have, it's an individual right. And of course, the nuclear weapon does not apply to that. Because one person can go crazy and say, okay, now I'm going to blackmail the rest of the country. That's not the Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much this. And more important, I want to play now something for you that I want to make you think, because this is for me the most important thing. We are living right now on the National Defense Authorization Act. You're familiar with that? On the Patriot Act?
No, I'm not. National Defense Authorization Act? No.
Okay, let me give you the short story. You remember the Patriot Act?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes, very well.
The destruction of Bill of Rights. That's completely become a fascist nation. The National Defense Authorization Act under Obama, it is like the Patriot Act on steroid. For the first time in the history of America, we have right now no more due process. The government, according to this law, that now is the law of the land, 2012 passed, just because you're suspected to be a terrorist, it doesn't take much now. You must be a Christian. You can be, people believe against the illegal immigration, or if you are believing individual rights, you're against the war, veterans, anybody can be a domestic terrorist. Just because suspected, the government can detain you, indefinitely, with no access to judge, jury, on trial, torture you, and you're never going to make it back to your family. This is simple as that. No, even in China.
I thought that's what the Patriot Act did, because that's, I mean, when I read through the parts of the Patriot Act that I could read through, that's what it was giving. It was giving Bush's administration those rights.
And let me tell you something, please. I want you with all my heart. Now you Google National Defense Authorization Act under Obama. It is like the Patriot Act multiplied by 5.
Wow.
By 5. We are now before pre-Magna Carta. Now the king, the government, doesn't have any type of justification to give you when they want to pretty much put you in the dungeon. No, even in China they do that. In China, at least you have still a phony trial, and then they shoot you in the back in public. Here you can disappear forever, okay? So that's the point. For me, that's the most important thing. I don't care if people have a different opinion about socioeconomics. You may be a Democrat, a liberal, socialist, whatever. The point, we are still now all under danger. As a free human beings, we have a government out of control that doesn't mean anymore anything about Republicans or Democrats. They are doing this fascism under both parties. And this is factual. Check it out. Patriot Act and National Defense Authorization Act. That would be enough to make you understand every one of us should have at least a rifle. Now, I want
There is one thing I would like to say, though. I'm
Yes.
not any political party. I'm registered to vote, always have all my adult life. But I'm not registered any political party. I am registered non-affiliated.
Me
because
too.
I don't find any of the political parties that have people's rights at heart.
I agree. I'm independent. I became independent. I registered myself independent, and that's why I just go by the Bill of Rights and Constitution. Let me play this part for you.
Okay.
Government-sponsored violence, of course, is not new. Governments in Soviet Russia, Germany, China, Uganda, Cambodia, and others made the 20th century the bloodiest in history. JPFO, the Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, did a unique study in their documentary film Innocence Betrayed. In it, they look at the worst genocides of the past century. Before any people's ethnic group or resistance can be disposed of, they must first be disarmed. Even Gandhi, the leader of nonviolent resistance in India, recognized the importance of an armed society when he wrote, "Among the many misdeeds of the British rule in India, history will look upon the act of depriving a whole nation of arms as the blackest." Critics of this position might suggest that the difference in regime change from these countries and ours lies not in the amount of privately owned weaponry, but in the style of government. We don't see the violence since ours is a constitutional republic and one of checks and balances. But this argument does not speak to how the republic was formed and how it is continually preserved. No people ever willingly subjugated themselves while having the ability to resist. The argument for firearms is not meant strictly for use against one's own government. It is a declaration of free men that they will remain so against all enemies, foreign and domestic. George Mason understood the importance of the Second Amendment when he said, "To disarm the people is the best and most effectual way to enslave them." Contrast that to Joseph Stalin when he said, "If the opposition disarms, well and good. If it refuses to disarm, we shall disarm it ourselves."
What do you think about that?
Any argument?
Well, I agree with everything that they were saying, and it doesn't really alter my thoughts on the more powerful weapons, though. You can be fully armed. You can have a complete arsenal and still not have to have those more powerful weapons. I just think that it's an argument that has come down to, with more reasonable. I mean, there's so much anger on both sides of the argument. And I talk to a lot of people who think, as I do, that there needs to be gun control. And I live in the right state. I'll tell you, I do live in the right state and I won't move out of California. The fact that we have the strictest gun control, I like it. And this is where I was born. This is where I grew up. And I never really thought about the fact that we have the most stringent gun control. It just so happens, by happy coincidence, that this is also where I think I'll stay.
Linda,
and
I have an idea.
That.
I would like you one time to be my guest. I hope you can cross the borderline for a moment. I will meet you at the Colorado River, okay? So you will feel safe, okay? And I have a personal private range, and I would like you to be my friend, my guest, and I'll make also some pasta for you, of course. But also, I would like to bring you to shoot, have fun, and see really that these evil assault weapons, as the people think, they're not just more than just regular rifles. And after you try them and you see what you think, maybe we can have another conversation. Because sometimes the problem is, I have a question for you. Did you ever shoot a rifle lately?
Not a rifle. I've shot a handgun once in my life. I went to a shooting range with a friend who had guns, and the fact that I had never shot one, but I still had my opinions, bothered him. So he took me to a shooting range, and I shot a handgun.
First of all, it does not bother me because I believe everybody has the right to do whatever they want. All I ask to other people to not infringe on my rights. I'm not ever saying you must have a gun. It's your right to have it or not. All I'm saying, I don't want to be responsible for other people's crimes or misbehavior. everybody's innocent till proven guilty, and that's pretty much the story. And that's why also I believe in the 10th Amendment. Every state has the way to legislate whatever they want. Even, of course, I believe the Second Amendment, it's an individual right, shouldn't be regulated like the ways in California, but that's why I live in Arizona. But I still want to invite you here, please, and if you ever come around Mojave County, give me a ring, and we go shoot together, and we go from there.
I would love that.
Okay, thank you, Linda, okay?
You're listening to Love,
Hugs and love.
Guns,
Bye-bye.
and Freedom with Luca-Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network.